This graphic illustrates the flow through the entire engine system. In this section, we will trace the flow through each of the components. Lubricating oil flow begins as oil is drawn from the oil pan through the suction tube. The standard oil pan capacity for the six-cylinder engine is 15 quarts. The volume between the full and add mark for the six-cylinder engine is 2 quarts. However, you should be aware that some OE applications may specify a different oil pan capacity and different high and low oil level marks. The suction tube delivers oil to the Giro lubrication pump. The unique oil pump installed in the front gear housing utilizes hollow gears in the pumping chamber of the oil pump for improved pumping efficiency at high engine speeds. Pump then delivers the lubricating oil through an internal drilling to the oil cooler cover and the pressure regulator. When the oil pressure from the pump exceeds the pressure regulator opening pressure, the valve opens, uncovering the dump port and allowing some oil to drain back to the inlet side of the oil pump. Recirculating the oil back to the pump increases the supply of oil to the pump. This circuit assures a constant oil supply without cavitation at high engine speeds. At the same time, oil is directed to a cast-in passage in the oil cooler cover, leading to the oil cooler element. At normal operating temperature, the minimum oil pressure at idle is 10 psi. Rated speed, the minimum pressure is 30 psi. The oil cooler element was redesigned for increased cooling capacity. The element cools the oil as it is moved through the plates and coolant is passed on the outside of the plates. The oil then continues through another cast passage in the oil cooler cover to the oil filter. The new FleetGuard Stratapore oil filter utilized on the ISB engine reduces the restriction of oil flow and extends oil drain interval to 15,000 miles and/or 500 hours in automotive applications. In the event of a plugged filter, the cooler cover incorporates a bypass valve into the cooler cover to maintain oil flow. If the pressure drop across the oil filter exceeds 20 psi, the bypass valve opens, allowing unfiltered oil to lubricate the engine. Filtered oil flows at the center of the filter and across to the cooler head. At the filter head, oil flow is divided, with a portion of the oil flowing to the turbocharger and the rest passing through the cooler cover down a cast passage to a crossling in the block. Once the oil is cooled and filtered, a cross drilling between cylinder number 1 and cylinder number 2 carries oil across the block to an angle drilling that intersects the main oil rifle. The main oil rifle runs the length of the block and carries oil to the overhead and main bearings through individual transfer drillings. The transfer drill connected to the main oil rifle supplies oil to a groove in the upper main bearing shells. Oil is then supplied to the cam bores through short radial drillings. Oil also flows through a groove in the upper main bearing to the piston cooling nozzles. The piston pins are splash lubricated by the piston cooling nozzle spray. From the main bearings, oil enters the crankshaft and lubricates the connecting rod bearings through internal cross drillings. Oil to the overhead is carried to the cylinder head deck by individual vertical drillings, one per cylinder, intersecting the main oil rifle. The oil then flows to a drilling in the cylinder head. From the drilling in the cylinder head, oil flows through a groove in the bottom of the pedestal plate. The oil then flows around the rocker lever mounting cap screws to the rocker shaft. Oil flows through angle drillings on the inside diameter of the shaft and along its length. Each end of the shaft, the angle drilling allows oil to flow from the inside diameter of the shaft to the rocker lever bore. A lubrication groove in each end of the shaft directs oil to two drillings, providing a path for oil flow. One drilling directs oil flow to the foot pad that contacts the crosshead. Oil from this drilling then travels down the crosshead and